Inspire.fm.
Hello and welcome back to Conscious Creation. This is Jana Marino and you're listening to Inspire.fm. And during the last show, we interviewed Stephanie Van Driesen, and I liked her so much that I brought her back for this one. So good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
So what we're going to be working on today is a little bit of a sample to see what Stephanie does. In the last show, she gave an intro about the kind of healing modalities and how she uses sound to help people transmute energies or vibrations that are stuck. So, and this really works well with conscious creation because sometimes we can feel when we're creating something, we have that little subtle feeling whether or not we're in alignment with it. And if you're not, this is one thing that can support you. So if you imagine maybe you're slightly out of alignment and maybe there's some energy blockage there, then you can just call Stephanie and she can come and help you get right back aligned. Yeah?
Sure thing.
So one of the topics that people have issues creating, at least I find with a lot of my clients and a lot of the people that that come for my workshops and stuff, is money.
Of course.
Is money. So if you were going to do a sound healing on money, how would you do it? And could you give us an example?
Sure. Usually, I find that there are a lot of associations to do with money because it's a huge societal thing and it's energy. You know, we work with it. We have to work with it. It's the way that things work here on Earth. But usually I find that in one-on-one sessions, we can go very deep, and everyone has their own root cause of the issue. It's usually, sometimes it's to do with family, it's got to do with ancestral stuff, even blueprints, you know, of how our ancestors were, and the programming with, you know, in our DNA about how we approach money is very strong. But I find that, you know, we can do that in a one-on-one session because it's really, really deep and it's personalized. But I find that you can definitely use sound already as a tool in a more conscious way with conscious creation, and also you know, sometimes in a group session, if you get a couple of people together and you're working on it together, you can use sound in a very conscious way to begin to heal and to begin to what we call by polarizing your vibration to that you want. And I think some of the Esther Hicks stuff talks about that too. When you ramble, Jana, and you're doing the rambling and you're creating, it's wonderful because you're already using your voice, you're using sound. And why that feels so good also, and I'm sure you know this, is because you align with the vibrational frequency of it and you use your voice as that fuel.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't sing-songy. I'm doing all my listeners a favor by not singing right now. You're all welcome.
There are some people who work really well with singing their intentions, though. And that's something you can actually do. I mean, if you're really creative and if you have a favorite song, you know, that you play in the background, and then you start doing the rambling, that works too. But I'd like to give a little sample probably in a process that you can do very simply to align and also heal for money, for example, to create more money.
Yes, please. I'm ready.
Can do. So if we start off like, for example, like Jana, if you start off with a ramble about money, you know, for X amount of seconds or something, and then we'll see where we go from there, because I'd love to bring in the sound to do with that.
Sure,
yeah.
Can. So I'll just give an example of a rant, but before I do that, I'll explain what a rant is in the event we have some new listeners. So what a rant is you place yourself in the space of already having what it is you want. And then you rant about what you're feeling. You go for 2 minutes straight. You don't stop. You talk about details. You talk about feelings, especially emotions, because in conscious creation, emotions are the language of the universe. Mm-hmm. So this is how you connect and can speak with the universe reacts to your emotions. So a rant, I'll start in just a second. I'm going to rant about money. And for those of you listening, just sit back and put yourself in the space of already having it. Yeah? Okay. I'm going to start right now. So I'm so happy now. My business is creating so much money. It's just flowing in with ease. In fact, I don't even have to go out and do any sales. Money just comes in. People hear about me. People find me. They see my website. They see me on Facebook. They go to my Twitter, and then they ask. And in their asking, they start attending my workshops. In fact, at the last few workshops that I've had people that have never even been to the free Saturday sessions. So I'm feeling really good and excited about this. People are signing up for my programs without me even needing to do anything. I don't have to lift a finger. On top of that, I'm getting free money all the time. So last week I came home and literally was given $1,000 for nothing. So that was really nice and that was really fun. And I'm standing in this position of endless possibilities, and there's all this money flowing in, and I'm just so excited about it, and I feel so good, and I feel rich, and I feel wealthy, and I feel successful. And everyone around me is becoming lighter and happier, and they're becoming richer and more wealthy and more successful. And it's almost as if everywhere I go, people work out their own money issues, and then they start becoming successful. And not just successful, but it's effortless. So they don't have to lift a finger. Just you meet the right people. You're in the right place, right circumstances, right situation. And there's all this money coming in. And it's like, wow, it's like avalanche of money coming in. Yeah. So that's like an example of a rant.
Wow. That was wonderful, Jana.
Thank you.
I really felt the expansion, just of that. And you're getting all excited about it. And like you said, emotions are the fuel of the universe, and that's what it's going to bring back to you.
Yes.
Not necessarily if what you're saying is not in line with what you're feeling, then it might take longer, or it might take some work on it first. So what I was sensing actually just now was probably in my own body, because we're all constantly working on this issue. It's like a lifelong thing to do with money.
Yes.
Sometimes not really. But I felt something in the heart space. I did feel like because I'm very emphatic and very kinesthetic. So when I do one-on-ones with people, I sometimes feel what their body's reacting. And
you're also intuitive and a medium.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Which means that I pick up things through sensing, and sometimes thoughts pop into my head about what may be going on for the client. So then I ask them, and then they go. Usually it's like, oh yeah, that sounds about right, and then we go into it. A lot of the sound. What I got was there was definitely some little bit of pain I feel in the heart center, and I felt that. If I tune in right now, I felt that maybe for you or maybe for a lot of listeners out there, money is closely associated with love. And it seems like a generalization, but it makes a lot of sense because it's about receiving as well. And sometimes we give so much of our effort and our time to other people because we feel like, of course it's the right thing to do and we love doing it, but perhaps we don't know how then to allow to receive, the love or whatever it is that we're getting back. And sometimes whenever that's an imbalance in there, then we also experience imbalance in, manifesting whatever we want into our life. So what you can do now is I felt like if I were to use the body as a gauge here, what I would do is I would tune into that, what that feels like. And this is how, you can use it. You can rant and go into that whoa space, and that's great. And you can even sound after that. You can go into a and feel expansion and just go like that's where it's going out. It's carrying out. And the sound is the heart sound. The heart, mama,
Yeah.
So even the words are written to include the vowel sounds. And so the heart is So what you can do is you can actually go into that space where it resonates right now, where I'm feeling it. And it's probably resonating with me too, because you're my mirror. So I'm going like, I think it's probably where I'm keeping it too.
Yeah, could it be, just a question, because I had this little thing come in.
Yeah.
Could it also be that maybe people come from the wrong space with money? Like maybe they want to make money so that they get more love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So those are the belief system connections it's pretty intricate in the mind and how we make assumptions and we connect. And usually if you're doing on your own, if you haven't had experience doing releasing or belief system work, then maybe you might not be able to make the connections, which is where, the guidance comes in. But how you can use sound already with that. Like if you are feeling something in your body, you are feeling resistance, you can just tune into that part of the body. Like right now, if I'm demonstrating it, I'm just going to go into the space and what am I feeling? Okay, there's emotion there. There is sadness. I do feel like a bit of sadness, a bit of hurt. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my voice now to cathartic it, to start to release it. And for those of you listening here, it may trigger you. The sounds may trigger you, and that's not a bad thing, because not all sounds don't make it wrong. Don't make your sounds wrong. If it triggers you, it probably means that maybe it's reflecting back something to you that basically saying it's there. So sound healing is all about different sounds. It's not about making the darker sounds wrong or the lighter, happier sounds is right. But it's about seeing where your voice is actually showing you what is in your vibration. Mm. So if I'm sounding for you, I'm actually also reflecting back to you what you're releasing, or maybe you need those tones in order to release, to break up some sort of resistance so that it can release. So coming back to this now, I'm getting the sense that I need to tone to release some of it. So I'm just going to demonstrate a bit. So I'm just breathing and I'm going, okay, I'm feeling sadness. I'm feeling a bit of frustration, a bit of this kind of like, I'm giving, but somehow I'm stopping it. So I'm just going to tune in and I'm going to use the voice to release some of that emotional blockage or stuckness there. So And usually you can use the sound of ooh or ah for the heart. Mm-hmm. So ooh. And some people have emotional breakthroughs with this. They start to cry or they start to feel like their body having tingles, and that's normal. And what you need to do is you need to stay with it. So I'm just going to tone for a little bit more. And what I'm feeling is that the voice, the sound really helps to go there. It's almost like it's saying, yes, I see you, I feel you, I acknowledge you. Because sometimes we just deny, we deflect, we don't want to see. But facing it is so powerful. So it's like, baby steps. So, and what I started to feel there, and I think you can hear it as well, was that something released already.
Yes, I heard that right at the end. It opened up a little bit.
It opened up, right. So that's the second thing that can happen. And this is actually really, really fast because you can do it for hours. You can, if you have time, 15 minutes, half an hour, depending on how,
even if you don't have time, that's all the more reason to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I find that when you feel that release, it's really cool how it's like it's showing you the sound. You can hear the release, and once that happens, go into it even more, and you may feel like the expansion starting to happen. So I was feeling like it was going into an ah. So from and what it's changing now, it's not so much as clearing, but it's actually energizing now. So you're actually toning, you're resonating at the heart space. And if you look at money from the heart space, because society and conditioning, we're very, very sharp with how we look at money sometimes. Yes. We're very survival mode. We're like, we have to be on the lookout. We have to be suspicious. Mm-hmm. People are going to take our money if we don't be. It's very uncommon sometimes. Not so much now. We're getting more and more into looking at the heart space, coming to look at money from the heart space. And so when you look at money from a loving perspective, you can use sound to help you with your emotions. You feel better. How much more easier is it for you to make peace with money when you're looking at it through the lens of self-love? And what I'm creating is so much love, is, like you were rambling just now, people, this and that and this and that as a result of having this money, and you can see how the vibration is different already.
Yes. And making peace with money is very important. Making peace with where you are, how much you have, how much you don't have. Because until you make peace with where you are, you cannot create anything from it.
Acceptance.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something I learned from going to your class, Jana.
Oh, well, thank you. It's not mine. None of this information is mine. It's from the universe. But Also, I went to a singing bowl meditation, and it was almost the same thing I got from your healing session. So it's like, even when I was, so I lay down and all these singing bowls were around me. There was one singing bowl for each chakra. And my body was buzzing so much, and even I couldn't keep my eyes closed. My eyelids kept flickering.
Yeah.
So that happens in sound healing as well.
Absolutely.
So is that releasing, or is that resonating and coming into alignment?
I find that usually with instruments like tuning forks and singing bowls, because it is an extension of the healer's energy. And I do find, even if you play it on its own, it is designed to resonate at the frequency, like you say, the chakras, right, for example, which means to bring the chakras back into its correct alignment and vibration. So what you're doing is you're actually, you're entraining. And what entrainment means is to begin to vibrate in a similar frequency as that which you are with, a person, or in this case, the sound. And so what you're doing is you're tuning it. And it shifts your vibration into there. But what I find that, and this is good to repeat over and over again, because then your body starts to recognize it, and then you start to naturally retune. But what I find that you can also do with sound is when, like, for example, if the person using the singing bowl is looking at a specific issue in a certain way and then directs the sound to that aspect of your consciousness or your body, it can be also very deep and powerful, because you're looking at the pinpoint. You're not doing a general sweep, which is also great. I'm not saying it's, it all has its merits. And sometimes you need to start with that level first before you're able to look at a deeper space. And so the voice does something similar, is in that sense, where when I say I'm intuitive and I'm a medium, a channel, is that I'm able to also tune in to that specification so that the sound can help to work on those issues. Yeah.
And I noticed that as well, like whether it was in your healing session or during the singing bowl meditation. The singing bowl meditation, like, you could really hear it because they were tuning chakras with other chakras. And like whenever, like if there's a chakra that's kind of dirty or needs to be cleansed, it's like you hit this beautiful note and then you hit this chakra and it's like, it just doesn't work. And you're like, ooh, what's that sound?
You really feel where the dissonance can be.
So have you had that? You've had that in your healing sessions as well.
Yes. I've actually had some sessions where the sounds have been pretty dark. It's been pretty like low. The low sounds tend to work on the lower chakras and also on very deep issues. And some people go like, and I judged it at one point as well in my journey. I mean, we're all on a journey. It's not like, I was born with this information. But there came a time when I was working on people who had very deep emotional like trauma, or some dark aspects of themselves that they were denying, they were not looking at. So the sounds would actually poke them in that direction. They would actually stir it up, and they would go like, I didn't like those sounds. It really made my skin crawl. And they were a bit afraid. They were like, what sounds are these? And I said, don't worry. Tell me what it was giving you, because then I can tell you what it was for. Sometimes it's really meant to shake up. I mean, sometimes you've heard of that concept that you need to create a little bit of chaos in order for change to happen. Yeah. So the sound is like this inescapable energy field that goes, okay, you want a healing? Right. You have to look at this.
Yes, exactly. And also not to neglect that dark side, because we all are whole and complete. We're all an aspect. We're all energy.
Yes.
And if there is dark energy, not to make it bad, because in making it bad, we make it worse.
Yeah. Give it more power.
Yeah, exactly. So you can actually, and so when you do sound healings, are you helping people to release the dark energy or just make peace with it, stir it up?
A whole bunch of things, depending on what they need. Yeah.
So person by person basis.
Yeah, person by person. Yeah. Sometimes they need to look at it, so we work on that. Sometimes they need to release a bit of a grid hold, because some people actually, there's a whole thing about being, seduced by the dark. Some people just identify with it completely.
Yeah, it looks powerful.
Yeah, it looks powerful, and that's just a belief. And it goes way back in our conditioning anyway. Like money is power, and a lot of we have that conditioning that money is the root of all evil. So if you are you're a person who, feels like, okay, power is the thing for me. So you may feel like you need to identify with that evil, whatever it is, subconsciously. Or in the opposite, if you want to be a good person, you may just go, okay, money is the root of all evil. I want to be a good person, so that means I don't want money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm taking a family constellation course for you listeners that have been tuning in. You've heard me talk about it already. But in the group, I had the pleasure of representing money. So I got to embody money.
Yeah.
And when I did, I didn't feel any evil. I didn't feel any darkness. It was just, this is what I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like the connotations people put on it.
Yeah, it's just
also,
human.
yeah, same with religion. So being religion, and a lot of people, religion, it causes, and that was my belief for many years, especially my father's a reverend. So, so I used to really resist religion, and they teach out of fear, and these were my beliefs and agreements and programming. And then having that chance to represent a religion and there was no darkness there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the essence of it is not what we think it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what you can do is like when you're in that, and I don't know whether this is allowed in family constellations, but if you get into that space and you're just embodying money, just try sounding it out.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Like, just see what it feels, because that was another thing that just popped into my head. So, like, how I did the oohs and the ahs just now, and you were feeling that expansion. Another way to look at money, to bring it into your life, is to vibrate at the frequency that matches how you view money that would best support you. So let me break it down. What that means is that because money is too abstract. It's just these numbers in the bank, or, these green, red notes, whatever it is. But it doesn't have, but usually we know what the negative feels like, not enough, or bills or something. But if it wasn't the positive, money is freedom, for example, or money is love. I'm able to be generous, to buy gifts or whatever, or it's sharing, so what is money? Money equals what for you in the positive? And then you can use, like once you tone into that heart space, for example. So for example, money allows me to share with people what I do. For example.
Yes.
And then so what you can do is you can go a step further. You can consciously create with that. You can rant with that, which is lovely. And then you can add sound onto it. So what does this feel like emotionally in the sound? So maybe it's a, and so just go with it. And I find that and you really feel like, whoa, that's a great start to the day as well,
Yes. And I don't know about the listeners. I keep getting goosebumps every time you sing. So imagine this is on air. So imagine having a one-on-one session and you have your socks blown off if you're wearing socks. Right? So also that brings me to one last thing. Walt Disney. Have you heard of the Walt Disney story?
A little bit.
Okay.
Not too sure, yeah.
I just read it in the book, How They Got Started. It's about these businesses that became really wealthy in recession.
Okay.
And Walt Disney, he really went through a lot of trials and tribulations. And this is just adding to what you said earlier about using money to support what you do.
Yeah.
And for 10 years or something like that, I'm paraphrasing, so don't hold me like to a T on the facts. But for something like 10 years, he was really struggling. Business would be taken over by a client and by old coworkers or something. There was always something, and he just couldn't find his sweet spot with business or with money. And then finally one day he said, I don't draw cartoons to make money. I make money to draw more cartoons. And I don't know if any of you have heard of Walt Disney, but he's kind of a big thing at Disney World and, all these cartoons as well. So that's just adding to what you said earlier. Money equals me being able to do more of what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us again today, Stephanie.
It's a pleasure.
It's always nice having you on.
Thanks,
so
Jana.
she will be our resident healer. Woo! So if anyone has any questions or has a topic that they would like to look at, shoot me an email at jana@wisdom-ink.com. And if you are interested in having a one-on-one session with Stephanie or joining one of her healing sound circles or workshops, you can get a hold of her at, what's your email?
Yeah, you can email me at onemiraclevoice@gmail.com. So it's all spelled out, onemiraclevoice@gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you again so much.
Thanks.
And thank you all for listening. This is Jana Marino on Conscious Creation, and you're listening to Inspire.fm.
Inspire.fm